Good day, NFL point spread junkies. This is gamblersWORLD.net. I'm your host, Chip Chirimbes, NFL preview week 11. Or is it week 12, Jim? We've got some great guests here. We're going to do some wonderful things with big-time games that are listed on the schedule. And we have some insights as to other things that are happening in the NFL as well, with two of the very top NFL and professional sports handicappers out of Las Vegas. Mr. Jim Feist, been in Las Vegas now since 1970. Jim, you're a fixture there. You're Mr. Vegas, and we understand why now.
You know, they all those buildings that are 50 years old, they blow up. So I don't know what they're going to do to me now.
Yeah, I remember first coming to, and there was nothing but the strip out here. You look east and west, and it was just dirt. And we have, of course, Paul Bovi, who's a big-time mover during the week, making his action. And I told you, every time he walks to the window, the bookmakers are shuddering. And I know, Paul, you had another great week. You beat me out on a bonus on one of these websites I won't even mention. And I'm kind of upset about that because that's the second time you've done that to me, Paulie. I go 6-1, you go 6-0. I go 5-1, you go 5-0. I'm really not too happy about this, but congratulations anyway. Welcome aboard, and I hope you got some great insights in the NFL for us today. But Jim, he's done it to me twice now.
Well, he does it a lot. That's why the bookmakers are.
And then
I've heard a lot of them just closing up.
Jim, he rubs it in by sending me his tickets. You know, he makes these wagers, and he's Paulie. I hope you do as well this weekend. I really do. God bless. Welcome here. You know, guys, there's a lot of things going on in the NFL. I mean, aside before we give our opinions on the games and our insights as to why professional handicappers like a side or not and what they are thinking. There's a lot going on right now in the NFL with the quarterbacks. I mean, the changes. Look what the Colts are doing. They start with their second year, Anthony Richardson. Take him out because they say they have no chance and they want to get to the playoffs. Falco goes 0-2. And they're replacing Richardson's back again. And, Jim, there's a lot of other problems. The Giants, of course, we know have problems. The Jets are going to have to make decisions. And Carolina, what are they going to do with Young? Quarterback in such a vital position right now. How do you think some of these teams are going to be handling it in the future? Cleveland Browns, they have a position they need a quarterback.
Well, the issue is the way the structure is set up in the NFL, in my opinion. By paying these kids a lot of money and starting them right away when they come into the league, you're not giving them enough time to learn. And the coaching, some of the coaching in the NFL is actually pretty good if you give them time to work with these kids, because they are young kids. They're 18, 22, 23 years old the most. And college experience is not NFL experience. And you start them out because you got this rookie contract, which you can pay them little money and you can pay other players and build around them. It's logically, that sounds good. But these kids coming out of college are not really ready for NFL action. And if you look back, most of your top 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks that are selected in the draft don't really do that well.
You know, Jim, it's like 50%, Jim, make it. I mean, you know, Khalid Williams is not having the kind of year they had anticipated, but he's leading the NFL in sacks with the Bears. Paul,
how about Young?
We've got a big situation, Paul, in Las Vegas now where Minshew has won the starting position for the third time. I mean, they removed him from being a starter twice before already. He's back. Any future for the Raiders here? I mean, we're in Las Vegas. We like to see him do well, and it just looks like they're going in the opposite direction under Pierce.
Well, I know one thing. The Miami Dolphins will be a popular survivor pick this week. 107 people left, or 107 entries left.
Right.
And the Miami Dolphins are in play. But with respect to the Raiders, look, Aiden O'Connell, I never considered him to be an NFL quarterback. So I think the writing is on the wall. And the question beckons, do you want to win now or invest in your future? Now, I think Bryce Young actually has made some strides the last few weeks. He actually looked pretty good against the Giants in the preceding week. But you make some good points. Jim did, certainly about being married to a quarterback. Look, Daniel Jones was given $80 million. They could have franchise tagged him. They did not. So, of course, they're having issues cutting ties, and that becomes a problem. Deshaun Watson, $250 million. How do you let the guy go and just write it off?
And, Paul, what are you going to do with the Dallas Cowboys situation? I mean, they got Prescott, and he just really hasn't performed at all. The Giants are going to have to make a decision on Daniels, like you said. There's a lot of problems out there. I mean, some teams, like New Orleans, they come out, they score 90 points the first 2 weeks with Carr. Carr goes down. They can't get out of their own way. They lose 6 or 7 in a row. the difference between one quarterback to the next, Jim, from the first guy to the backup, can be dramatic. I mean, even more than college nowadays.
Well, but when you look at you pointed out the Saints in the first couple of weeks. You looked at who they played and the defenses they played against. There's a lot of imbalance, not balance,
right.
Imbalance in the NFL. The top 15, 16 teams, maybe the top 10 teams, and then the rest of them, which are junk. There's so many games out there this week with 2-7 teams against 3-7 teams. I mean, it's going through a big change, and a lot of the problems, and I hate to keep banging on the suits, a lot of the suits make these rules, but the union contracts, the no pads in practice, I mean, and then we have coaches. We have 16 defensive and offensive coaches changed this year, along with the head coaches. A lot of these guys are really it's the old Peter principle. You raise to the level where you can't perform anymore. And that's going on. And then you bring in these kids from college and expect them to be really good when the coaching is inferior to begin with.
Right.
That can teach them. And then the Jets, you look at the Jets and you bring in
I was just going to say, what are you going to do with the Jets situation?
Well, you got to pay the guy out and start over. He's done. He's done.
Well,
He's not going to. Let's just put it this way: whatever you're seeing from Aaron Rodgers this week or this year, you're not going to get better next year.
Well,
he's going to get older. He's
Jim, I'm wondering, and I was going to ask Paulie if he thinks that Rodgers' poor performance this season, very disappointing, what we imagine right now, is because he's still trying to recover from his injury, and next year he's going to be stronger and healthier. Next year he's going to be 42, or is he going to be 41 next year? But he looked like an aging quarterback to me this season, and I'm wondering if he's going to get healthier and stronger in the offseason.
So I believe it was a leap of faith to begin with, because his last year in Green Bay, he was not very good.
Right.
So the Jets took a shot that maybe he could resurrect his excellence, his standard of excellence, but it just didn't happen. It hasn't happened. And as Jim pointed out, it's not likely to happen. Things are not going to get better. They can only basically stay the same. You're going to get the status quo, or you're going to get more decline. So the Jets, should they start over? Probably that's the answer.
My gut feeling is they're going to play with him one more year. Of course, they asked him yesterday what his thoughts were, and he said he wants to play. So his performance level may be in question. But even with a 17-game schedule, the Jets may not be completely out of it. All right, now before we give our analysis on a few featured games in the NFL, give us a like, subscribe, and share. And you said we're at gamblersworld.net. We're here every week. This is the Pro Edition, right, guys? It's the NFL Pro Edition from gamblersworld.net. Jim Feist, Chip Chirimbes, and yours truly, Chip Chirimbes and Paul Bovi. Paul, let's start in a game I think that's got everybody's attention is Baltimore is going to Pittsburgh. And they're the two leading AFC teams. And Paulie, I'll start with you. Right now, Baltimore's 7-3 on the year. Pittsburgh's 7-2, and Pittsburgh's a home dog in the situation. Can you justify that to me?
Well, I think Baltimore's a better team, but they have their liabilities because this team has been absolutely carved up in the air, and they were very fortunate to hold on that nationally televised Thursday night game against the Bengals, where Cincinnati opted for the 2-point conversion, didn't get it. Baltimore emerges with a 35-34 win. But this has been the storyline for Baltimore. It's just been one week after another, their secondary being carved up by the opposition. Tampa Bay did it. We saw Cincinnati do it earlier in the season. We saw the Raiders come back in fine fashion. Second half, Gardner Minshew, who we mentioned before, 200 yards passing in the second half. So can I bank on laying 3 points on the road with Baltimore? No, I can't. But I also can't bank on Russell Wilson here, who I expect regression from. So I'm going to take a pass on the game.
All right, Jim. Pittsburgh comes into this game with 3 straight wins and 7 out of 8 against this Raven team, and yet they're a dog here. That kind of surprised me, considering they do have a better record at 7-2. And I don't mean to harp on it because I opened it with Paulie as well. This line doesn't come at you in any way.
I like the dog. I mean, it's a, you know, I'm going to just say, I like the dog. I like the way they're playing. I like their passion. I like the fact that they're home. I like that they're being disrespected as being an underdog at home, even though they have a lot of victories over this. I mean, it's Tomlin against Harbaugh. You know, they're two very good coaches, but when you look at the defense, I think Pittsburgh's got a little bit of an edge on defense. And Russell Wilson, even though he's not the old Russell Wilson, he's starting to resemble what he was in Seattle. Now, what happened? It fell apart there, and he went to Denver, and it fell apart there as well. But under Tomlin, who's a much different human being, this man knows how to win. He knows how to coach, and he's got the talent to make it happen. The running game, his deep ball accuracy is incredible. He's not as mobile as he used to be. Fortunately, right now at the moment he's healthy. But you can't knock the offense for Baltimore. They're incredible. I mean, what they can do Lamar is unbelievable. He's very difficult to defend. They got the running back. That's incredible what they can do. But on defense, Paul hit on it. They've been giving up a lot, and that's the vulnerable link in this game for me. I like Pittsburgh.
You know, Jim, I think when I started looking at the stats between these two teams, I can see why they've gravitated and have the Ravens as the favorite. Number one in the NFL in yards per game, 440. Number one in yards per rush at 7.2 yards per rush. They're rushing for 183 yards a game, and it's just dominating. They're dominating on the ground between Russell and Henry, and 9 overs in the last 10 games between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I'm up in the air about this. The Baltimore defense hasn't been as strong as it has been in the past, Jim. You said they had a liability there. They're ranked 27th in the NFL, 368 yards, and they only allow 3.4 yards per rush. So the ground game, which is number one, by the way, for the Ravens is number one defensively and number one offensively. So maybe 3 is a bargain if you like to take it. But anyway, that's what we got for you on the Baltimore and Pittsburgh matchup. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share this program. We're here every week. We're going to pretty soon we're going to be giving them college basketball games, Jim. But let's go to another game of interest, and it may not have attracted many people's attention off the top. But the more I look at it, the more interested I became, and that's Cincinnati, who people still believe have a hope, and Joe Burrow says they're still going to make the playoffs, is at the Chargers. And this is a totally different Chargers team. Jim, I'm going to come to you for under Harbaugh. They're 2-7 to the over. Harbaugh's using that same old Michigan system, bringing it here, where he's just controlling the ball. They are last in NFL passing attempts, last in NFL passing yardage, and they've completed their number 30. Do you think he's wasting Herbert here?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I think Harbaugh's a great coach. He's going to go down in history as, in the college and in the pros as a great coach. He's done it everywhere he's been.
Right.
He's been successful. I don't like the Cincinnati head coach. I'm just going to say it. Right. I just don't feel comfortable with him. But when you look at Burrow and Chase and Higgins and all that, and what they can do on the ground, I can't remember the name of the running back they lost, but the backup running back I think is better, and he's doing well. They can score points. The Chargers are not going to shut them down. It's not going to happen. I don't believe it's going to happen. But Cincinnati's defense is garbage. So Herbert can play, and they don't have the weapons they had a year ago. They lost some players, but they do have the head coach, because Staley to Harbaugh is like going from a 0 to 100 in quality coaching. So this is a very difficult game, but I do see points, a lot of points.
And Paul, Jim sees points here, and that's right into the teeth of what Harbaugh is doing and professing, Jim. Harbaugh's he's improved this team to the number 6 team in defensively, only allowing 302 yards a game. They're only making 314 yards, Paulie. So that's about even. That's a wash, though they are 6-3, and I think coaching has a lot to do with that as well. So we got Cincinnati and the LA Chargers. I can't say an LA Chargers, Jim. I just can't do it. I keep calling them San Diego all the time, and I'll never get through that.
It's not Dan Fouts anymore. He's not there.
Jim likes a lot of points in this game, and considering the way Harbaugh has his offense going and his defense going, and his offense isn't all highly rated. It's 22nd. It's going to be a tough task, I think, to get there, Jim. Paulie, what do you think?
Well, I can't agree with Jim on the over. It's not a side or a total that I would play. I think the Chargers have only went over twice this year, if that. And I know on Sunday it came by virtue of a touchdown by Tennessee with 40 seconds to go to get over the 39 or whatever the number closed at. So they are an under team. And if Herbert has to go back and pass, he is oftentimes under a lot of duress. He takes a lot of hits. He absorbs a lot of sacks. Cincinnati's defense, I'll give them a little credit because from the beginning of the season, they have shown some improvement, but I wouldn't call it a stellar defense, but I would call it serviceable. Now, I would actually look for a closer football game, a closer result, and I would probably lean towards a teaser with the Bengals if I were playing the game. You could get it up to 7.5, depending on the teaser that you're using, and then you look for a dance partner. But I don't have a strong play in the game.
All right, my feelings about it was that Jim and Paulie, I thought this line was very short, considering the Chargers are 6-3 and Cincinnati's 4-6. Cincinnati did have a good performance in that game they lost against Baltimore. But, Joe Burrow just has a way of putting it together the second half of the season. They've been doing this year after year where they open up the season and they go 2-4, 2-5. And they're the same way this year at 4-6, a little deeper into the year. And Burrow says they're going to get it together. They are number 3 in the NFL in passing attempts per game, and you have to take advantage of Burrow. I am surprised that this line is as shallow as it is, and it makes me lean towards Cincinnati because I don't understand why, if you're going to give a home team 3 points, why they're only 1.5 at home against a 4-6 team. So that's how I'm looking at that one. All right, the last game we're going to be dealing with is probably the feature play of the day, guys, and we have 2 great teams going head-to-head. They seem to battle it out in the AFC every year. Kansas City's at Buffalo. They played for the honor to go to the AFC Championship game last year, and Kansas City came from behind and beat them. Buffalo's 2.5 now, 3 at home, 8-2 on the year with a 6-game winning streak, or is it a 5-game winning streak? Jim, how do you see Kansas City at 9-0? Are they going to remain undefeated?
Well, they've been sleepwalking through the season, and somehow they keep winning. I mean, They got a great defensive coordinator in Spagnuolo. They got a great offensive / head coach with Andy Reid, and you got a great quarterback in Mahomes, and you got people that know how to win, and that's a big factor. It's not about being good and winning regular season games and stuff. And I know Baltimore has beaten this team a few times in the regular season, but they haven't done very well in the playoff issues. So those games. But this is a championship team that was very, very lucky to beat Denver last week with that blocked field goal. And Andy Reid got the team together and he called them out. And he said he's tired of them sleepwalking through the season. And he wants them to earn their money and go out and play the full game. Okay? Now, this is a guy that knows how to win. The coach in Baltimore, in Buffalo, is a good coach. He's more of a defensive coach than an offensive coach. But they have a lot of holes also that they have to fill. They can win, but can they beat a championship quality team that may be coming in a little pissed off about what their coach said to them? So you're going to give me 3 points with a 2-time going for 3-peat championship. I'm going to take the points. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's the way I have to look at it.
Really understandable. Paulie, Kansas City has been known because of Mahomes. Everyone refers to their offense. I think this year people have taken notice of their defense much more. Their offense right now is 30th in rushing. They're only averaging 3.8 yards. Defense is holding opponents under 300 yards. You think it's going to be a high-scoring game between these two? You got 2 great quarterbacks, and I can see a lot of points being scored myself.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so Kansas City hasn't run the ball very well, but Buffalo has been very giving on the ground. I played Jonathan Taylor over, I think it was 77 yards on Sunday, and he got that pretty quickly with a long run down to the 6-yard line that resulted in a touchdown. There was also an 18-yard run by Taylor, an 8-yard run, and in the prior week, a Shane and Mostert went off for 159 yards. I think Buffalo has liabilities defensively, both against the run and against the pass. We saw Tua 25 of 28, and on Sunday, Flacco 26 of 35. Pretty good percentage. The problem was 3 of those passes ended up in the hands of the Buffalo Bills. So it's 61 to 73 the last 2 weeks. We saw the Ravens run for 300 yards, actually 274 against them. And we saw Stroud 28 to 38 for 338. Aaron Rodgers, a shade under 300 yards passing, which for him is pretty darn good. So I just think Buffalo can be had defensively. They will score points at home. Got to give Josh Allen a lot of credit. He's making the most of his weapons. And I think Kansas City finds a way to score. Both teams get in the 20s, and the game goes over the total.
All right, Paul, and addressing what you said about the Buffalo run defense, allowing 4.94, almost 5 yards per attempt, and which is ranked 30th among 32 teams. All right, this is gamblersworld.net. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and share. And Jim Feist, Chip Chirimbes, and Paul Bovi here with gamblersworld.net, and each of us have special packages up there at the website, premier selections. And I know Paulie had a great weekend last week. Paul, Jim, let me start with you. What do you got going this weekend?
I'll tell you what, I got a college game of the year. I've got several college plays that I really like. They're up now on the website. And right. I also have a package of pro sides and totals in the NFL. And of course, it's college basketball season, NBA as well. I was doing really well in both NBA and college. Hit a roadblock this week in the colleges, but the NBA is still going. This business, it's up and down. You get lucky, you get unlucky. Right. Or you make bad plays as well. But it's been good. And it's going to even get better because these games are now starting. You notice we're talking about games that actually mean something.
Right.
And we're coming down to the last 8 weeks in the NFL. And the colleges, we're heading towards the playoffs. We got a 12-team thing going on at this first time ever with 12 teams going into playoffs. It's really exciting.
Paul, I know you've got something cooked up there. You always do, and have been really doing very, very well. Gamblersworld.net, what do you got for us lined up for this weekend?
Yeah, well, college football, I think I'm 24-10 in the last month. That's against the spread, not money lines, not baloney like that, just straight up. I haven't lost a college game in probably 3 weeks. Swept the board again. I think I went 3-0, 2-0 the prior week. I don't post a lot of games, right, but I try to post. I emphasize quality over quantity. So I'll have a few games up there. I already posted one. I believe I posted one, and I try to get at least one game up very early. Last week I got Rice up at 9.5, and those that came in early got the money. Those that waited until Friday afternoon and got 7 ended up with a push. So I try to get games up early. There's an NFL game up now. There's a college game up now. I'll have a few more. I don't know how many. Usually in college, it's going to be 2 or 3, 4, something like that. But quality over quantity.
All right. Thank you, Paulie. It's really great out there right now in the NFL. We've got a great resume to look at, and we've got, I'd say, enough evidence to right now to really get a good feel with where we're going. But on Saturdays, last week I had my game of the year, don't make sense game of the year, big winner, and I had a mega buck play with Mississippi outright over Georgia. The colleges are rolling along. Follow the buy links at gamblersworld.net. Get either Paul Bovi, Jim Feist, or Chip Chirimbes' selections. We're all doing really well out there, and you can always check the leaderboard, of course. Now, once again, like, subscribe, and share the show with others. Let them know we're out here. We'll be here each and every week. I'd like to thank you guys for being with me again this week, and good luck to us all. And just remember to give us a like. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Good luck, everybody.